Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Don Hansen, CEO of Regents Capital. Don, thank you for joining me today.
Glad to be here. Excited to do this.
Thanks again, man. So real quick, Don, tell us a little bit more about Regents Capital, if you don't mind.
Sure. So we are a independent equipment finance and leasing company. We started in December of 2013, and fortunately have had a great amount of success and built up a pretty strong enterprise. We cater mainly to middle market customers on a direct basis. So we're reaching out to those customers that are potentially users of equipment finance or leasing and try to build long-term relationships with them. I consider us a pretty heavy technology-based enterprise where we're an equipment finance company first. I think we're a tech company second, and that's paid dividends for our growth. We've been hitting the top 25 of independents for the last 3 years. It's an achievement the whole organization is proud of, and a testament, I think, to our plan and what we pulled out.
Absolutely. And then I want to say our paths crossed about 7-8 years ago as you were leaving and starting up Regents. Mm-hmm. And, talk about that experience, if you don't mind, what it's like. I believe you were at your previous organization for about 20 years.
Yeah.
And then you and Dennis went and started your own. If you don't mind, just kind of talk about that experience, what you liked, what you maybe could have done better, if you don't mind, Don.
Sure. Yeah. You come to certain circumstances sometimes in our career paths, right, to where you are faced with a significant crossroads and you have to make a decision on which way do we take. And it was more of the same, but take on this new challenge. Was kind of a unique part of my life, though, that I'm walking away from the only job that I had since college, and I built up. I had a good job and I had a good opportunity, but it was becoming clearer and clearer by the day that my values, the direction that I felt we needed to go, et cetera, were diverging strongly from where I was before. So the crossroads, like, what do you do about it? And at that point, I saw more risk at maybe joining a new organization than I saw starting my own. So, lots of discussion with my family, lots of discussion with my business partner, Dennis, and it was legitimately a bet the farm move. I sold my house, I liquidated my retirement funds and kind of went all in, which the experience when you're doing that, a lot of people around you almost are negative to the fact. They're like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? You have 3 kids, you have this or that. You're legitimately betting the farm. In some ways, even strained some friendships because they thought we were going way out on a limb. Ended up being the best thing I ever did because we've created an amazing organization. We've got a great team that's aligned with my values. It reinvigorated me in my career in the equipment finance space. I love coming to work every day. As far as things like doing differently, I'm not sure. I've got a lot of second guesses, thankfully. I think some of the second guessing or maybe realignment has been driven by our current circumstances with COVID. And the way I'm explaining it to folks is COVID has been a massive disruptor. It's a disruptive thing, but I see disruption both in the negative, right? The social distancing and the challenges that the virus itself placed on us. The positive disruption is it makes you rethink, are we doing it the right way? And what we found is realignment of our resources within Regents. We're actually doing better with a higher potency, a tighter team, and we've turned COVID into an opportunity. So these events have brought out new ways of thinking things, but I think you always need to be open, like, are we doing this right? Let's evaluate what we're doing, debate it openly, and move in the right direction. But I feel good about the good things. I feel good about our mistakes because we've learned from every single one of them.
Absolutely. And definitely can relate to, kind of that feeling of being with an organization for so long and kind of come to that crossroads. Because eventually everyone wants to be their own boss, right?
Yeah.
And if there's not that alignment, then it's time for you to move on. And you took a gamble, and it's paying off, and that's great. So I've been to your office, and the culture that you and Dennis have created is fantastic. So I wanted to talk real quick. So when you go on your sales floor and you look at those TV screens and you have like most calls of the day or most credit apps of the day, it kind of circles me back to how I cut my teeth in sales in like North Jersey, where it's like you have the board, right? And it's like you want to celebrate the board, but who's on the bottom of the board? And like you never want to be on the bottom. You always want to be on there. So with today's kind of culture and just how people are, is that perceived more in a positive way, or do you get any backlash from that?
So like I said, we are big on technology, and in the early stages of the company, I was looking how do we make our resources potent? How do we leverage every aspect of technology? And one of the things I came across was this idea of gamification. And I spent a lot of time researching it and looking at the tools of doing it. And as you mentioned, we've got screens throughout the organization that are broadcasting stats, key performance indicators of where people need to be and what the expectations are. It is a reinforcing tool that holds us all accountable to what we're saying we're going to do. You're right. No one wants to be at the bottom, but that's really not the culture that we're trying to do. Is we're trying to like, how do I get to the top? And that is a value that we've identified within the company. And at first I thought, maybe, am I going out on a limb? And is this just some big ruse or something hokey that no one's going to buy into? And as you know, right, if a sales rep gets an application, each rep within our company has a walk-up song individualized to them. So when they hit that at bat and they get an app, like you can have Back in Black, mine's Back in Black. So, if I do something good, Back in Black starts playing throughout the company. So at first I was like, are people buying into this, et cetera? And I knew it took hold within the company when one day there was a technical glitch and someone comes walking down and said, hey, I got an app and my song didn't play. And so what did that mean? That meant that it was important. The reinforcement of achievement was important. So I see our boards and our stats and broadcasting them through there. It's just like, hey, no one's here to hide from anything. And that we believe in our organization in the spirit of radical candor. It's like, hey, I'm always going to come at you from a position of trust and caring, but I'm also going to feel comfortable challenging you. So if I align those two things together, we need people to hold us accountable sometimes, right? We need people to go, hey, you can do better. As much as we need people to tell us like, hey, you're doing awesome. As long as I'm coming from a position of trust and caring, I want that every day.
And, in getting to know you and Dennis better over the last, 7-8 years, I would say from a motivational perspective, you guys know how to fire up the troops better than anyone else. And I kind of circle back to that scene from Wolf of Wall Street where he's on the stage, and that's kind of what I envision.
Dennis wouldn't let me build a stage. I wanted to build it.
I could see that, and that's why I was asking that question. But that's awesome.
Obviously, Wolf of Wall Street's nefarious acts aside,
well said.
The other part of Wolf of Wall Street was an individual who had strong connection with his team, and his team would follow him into battle to achieve the goals that they had. I believe in that 100%. I want to be that person. With all the negative parts on the other side of it, but you can be that, right?
Yeah.
You can be that. You can create a culture to where it's engaging, dynamic, fun. We are big high fivers. We are big celebrators, and always will be, because you should celebrate achievement. And at 100.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that's where, as a salesperson, for the last 20 years, I can definitely kind of relate to that, where it's like, you want that person, you want that mentor that you can go into battle with, and more importantly, that has your back. And
Absolutely.
that's what you guys have done there. So as far as growth aspirations, you mentioned you've been independent 25 for the last 3 years. How close are we, or when are we getting in that monitor 100 threshold?
We
What are your thoughts there?
we were just I think we were just outside the 100 this time, so we'll get it next year. I'm almost positive. We're putting together our annual plan right now. So we were Monitor just did its 101 plus, and
I saw your article.
Yeah, we were in the top of that cut. So I feel with the initiatives that we've got planned for 2021 that we'll make that cut next year.
So you'll have to let me know what Dennis's walk-up song is, so I can send you guys a card that has Back in Black, and then whatever he has too.
Yeah, I can't remember what he's got in there. I'll get that figured out.
I picture it's something to be a little eclectic, just knowing Dennis.
Yeah, because it's probably like, Empire of the Sun or something.
So also another thing I appreciate in working with you was, like you said, from the technology perspective. I don't think I've ever worked with such a hands-on CEO before, where you'd sit there and you'd be like, Jesse, this is kind of what I'm envisioning. Can you let me know what that's going to take? And then I'd be like, yeah, Don, they came back and it's like 10 hours. And you're just like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And you went in like 30 minutes and figured it out yourself. And it's like, nah, this is what I want. And it's like, okay. So, being in the service industry, you always appreciate when people keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
So just wanted to throw that out there.
I had to watch that hourly billing,
No, absolutely.
I got more big screen TVs to buy.
So what is your employee headcount now?
Pre-COVID, right before, we were close to 90. And now we are, I call it our fighting weight. We are at 60.
Okay.
The initial scale back on COVID were entry level folks that we felt that we needed to, in facing whatever challenges that we came up with, is that the prospecting and the pure app generation, we could sacrifice that for the rest of it. But we're now drafting up a hiring plan, so we're gonna bring it back in a different way though. Before, I thought it was like bodies after bodies after bodies. Now I think we've got a new plan that still grows the employee base, but in a more disciplined way.
Yeah, and I would say that the whole sales methodology, it's like you throw enough salespeople out the window, eventually, someone rises to the top.
Yeah.
Like you said, lean and mean.
Yeah.
I think sales processes, funnels are going to change completely.
That's where we're at. Is a much more. I'm big on potency now, right? Like, you can have as many people and go, hey, we just keep throwing bodies at this thing, we're gonna get a certain amount. But I think through training, technology, and focus, you may get the same with 50% of that number that we used to have. And that's where we're going with it, is intensive management training and intensive individualized training.
Excellent. So I'm going to switch to a little bit more like fun conversation, if you don't mind. So I know a few people out there are aware of a fun fact about you. However, let's talk about your experience being the mayor of Huntington Beach. Like,
sure.
How'd that come about?
So no one knows within my family kind of where it came from, but so I was student body president in the 8th grade high school at USC. So I always had this sort of bug for leadership or being out there or being the person like making the decisions. It's always kind of been a thing.
Okay.
Then in high school, I took a trip to Washington, D.C. and became very enamored with the political process. In college, I worked on Capitol Hill for a congressman, and that really cemented that I wanted to have that experience in my life of being an elected official. So the opportunity presented itself in 2004, or actually 2002. Was my first election for the city council of Huntington Beach. And the way Huntington Beach works is the mayor is not directly elected. It rotates amongst the 7 city council members. So you get elected to the city council, then you become the mayor. So I lost my first election by 230 some votes, and then ran again 2 years later and was successful. So I was on the Huntington Beach City Council for 8 years. And then in my last year, I had set up the rotation to be mayor. I actually had thought at that point that period from mayor to the next step, that I was on the road to being a professional politician. Like I thought that's what I was going to be. I was going to run for Orange County supervisor. That's a full-time position that you sort of step away and kind of done that. Then there were a couple of events that just made me sort of reevaluate that plan.
Okay.
And then the biggest was, a culmination, which started the formation of Regents. Now I see it all kind of knits together, that Regents will probably be the thing that brings me back into politics one day. But, where it came from is just someone has to do that job, right? Someone needs to be in that position in public service to safeguard our communities, to make decisions for the well-being of ourselves as well as future generations. And like, I don't know, I'm a give me the ball type guy. And the way that I explain it to folks is like, if I am willing to do the work and I'm motivated to do the work, then that's good for all of us. Like I'll step forward and kind of do that, because there's a lot to it, a lot of sacrifice. And actually I was coming off an okay political environment. The political environment is like much tougher right now, but being the mayor of Surf City, USA is our moniker. It's a great city to be the mayor of. It's a great community, right. Family base. It's where I've raised my family, and to be the mayor of that is a distinct honor. There's a lot of responsibility. I rode 2 economic cycles. I rode the way up, and then I was on the city council in 2008. So now you're making true value judgments because the budget's imploding. Just like businesses face it, a city is essentially a business. So right. How are we going to manage our revenue? Which employees stay, which employees go, and all those become value judgments of what your city is going to demand. How many police officers are we going to have? What are we going to do with our parks? At the city level, it's all of those things. Very, very rewarding. But I was also a part-time politician at that point. I mean, I still have to have a day job. So right. it was a big juggle for my wife. My son, our second child, was born 8 days after I got sworn in. So we have a newborn and this new career and this new profile and all that. Thankfully, my wife's really invested in the process as well. And she was a great partner to getting us through it. But it is a challenge, but I found it amazingly rewarding.
I've seen you in action at some of those capital connections in DC, and the way that you handle yourself, and just the way that you kind of just explain the process or create the, mention the awareness of what we're actually looking to achieve, and the way that you handle it is great, especially in this environment here. So I'd be curious to see if and when you throw your hat back in that arena there.
Yeah, no, it will come. I think there's a lot of work still here to do at Regents, but kind of where I was going with that is what I realized, and I think a challenge in politics right now, is there's too many professional politicians. Like it becomes their job. And then like all of us, right, you get concerned about job security, right? If it's your job, it's how you're paying your bills. Like if you have to run every 2 years, you got to make sure that you've got that job going on. I sometimes think that warps the process, because if you know you have to make a decision and may make your reelection tougher, even if you believe, hey, going left versus going right is the better call, you may be reticent to do that, knowing that, like, hey, if I do that, I got a battle on my hands that I don't really want to do. So maybe I just, muff this one and live to fight another day. I want to be in a position where that doesn't matter to me. The best advice I got on the city council is, if you're afraid of losing this job, don't ever take it, because that makes you make proper, informed decisions, and you're not trying to surf some wave of public opinion.
No, that makes sense. And not to get too political here, but in lieu of all these recent events that have been going on, I think term limits need to come into play for not just not just presidents.
No, the power of incumbency is strong, and it's
you got 8 years, man. Make your mark. If not, you got
distinctive
4. You got 4. You do a good job. You get rewarded for 4 more. Bye.
No, that's kind of the way that I saw on city council. A lot of people come back, and I'm like, no, I'm going to work hard for these 8 years to move it in the direction that I think is plausible. But to be some fixture for like 20, it is good to bring in new ideas. It is good to have institutional wisdom. There's probably some balance in there in between, but it does, once someone's in there, it's pretty hard.
Fair. So something a little bit more fun and entertaining. So I'm friends with you on Facebook, follow you on Instagram. Let's talk about your Outlaw Tailgate and that experience. And if someone were to join you on that, which I was hoping to do it this year, but obviously it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that if you don't mind, Don.
Sure. So we all have our passions. My passion is college football, and specifically USC, the University of Southern California, college football. I've been a tailgater. That's my thing. So I tell my family, like, listen, I get 6 weekends a year. That's my thing. That's all I ask. It's like, these are mine. And so all of my children since birth have gone to USC football games here locally. It started with me dragging like just a rolling barbecue and an ice chest in the kids' like little red wagon, and now has grown to a 40-foot RV dedicated to tailgating. So we always have the welcome wagon out, and I'm a more the merrier type guy. So COVID aside, hopefully next year we're ready, but we put up, I love cooking. I love barbecue, like legit barbecue, and anything you need. I've taken classes, world-class pit masters, and you can see some of our exploits on Instagram. So it's USC _outlaw _tailgate. And that's some of our greatest hits of what we've cooked up, as well as some comedy all around tailgating in there. But I love good food. I love good times. I love good beers. So
and
all
now
of
I
those
think
come together in one.
And now I obviously that's why we get along so well.
Yeah. right. It all kind of comes together.
No,
so,
but
yeah,
I see some of these.
I love events.
Well, and now, yeah, I see your road trips. So what do you ask the wife for, one road trip a year?
Yeah, no, they're usually with me. It's a family affair. So the one I did solo last year was due to some commitments that the children had at home.
Okay.
No, the whole family packs it up. That's another thing I like about it, is it's sort of our thing. So that they've all done since they've been then really little. So we've driven from California to Texas twice. We've not taking the RV. We usually do a couple travel road trips when we're in the right place. I had hoped to take it to Oregon this year, but given our circumstances, we've scuttled it. But yeah, we're ready. In fact, I just we've got a new. We've refreshed the Outlaw, so up to the 2021 model. So we're going to hopefully do this big rollout and all these other things. So it's just kind of clear. I'm going to just park it. Actually, I think I'm going to do one for fun. I'm legitimately just going to park it in front of my house. And
let me know. Let me know. I mean, I think you're what, a 5-hour drive from me. So let me know. I mean, obviously, you know, I won't tell anyone that we're doing it, but
it's okay. We're in Orange County, so it's a little bit better than those other places.
Fair enough. So I guess my last question I have for you. So why Regents, Don?
Why Regents is you're going to get a focused effort to deliver the best result for your equipment finance requirements. You're going to get professional service, timely service with a focus on execution. So we're big at no mistakes and moving through the process efficiently as possible. You know, we cater to that middle market, and we're a credit-based operation. So the clients that we have understand that they're credit-worthy operation. They understand that they can qualify for financing, and that financing a $500,000 machine tool should not be a month-long exercise. When all those variables come together. Now, if you have challenges, we want to work with you too, and you know, we find ways to find all sorts of transactions. Our tagline is, we turn your reality into results, right?
I like that.
And I think what we find is some institutions or some banks, et cetera, is like, hey, no, your reality needs to look like this, or we can't help you. Well, it doesn't change the nature of your reality, right? That, hey, if this institution only wants to play in this ballgame, that's their purview. But the why Regents is, we're going to listen to you. We're going to understand your business realities and the results that you need, and we're going to make those happen. And I think we approach every transaction that way. Is we're going to turn your reality into the results that you need. And we've been successful in doing so. And our repeat business is strong. Our customer relations are strong. And our ability to garner new business based upon the results that we achieve is strong as well. So you choose Regents because we're going to interpret your reality and turn in the result that you need.
And plus, Regents comes with you and Dennis. So
there we go. And some good barbecue if you're in the greater Los Angeles area.
There you go. There you go. All right, Don. Well, I greatly appreciate your time today, sir, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Excellent. Thanks for this opportunity. It was super fun for us to connect like this.
All right. Thanks, man.
Take care.